Good afternoon, everybody. Special day today. I got dressed up. Happy Jane Austen July, everybody. So this is going to be another July Wednesday wrap-up. And I'm celebrating Jane Austen July by getting in the spirit, even though I haven't read any Jane Austen books yet. So for my wrap-up, I will be wrapping up this book, Mrs. Plansky's Revenge by Spencer Quinn. And it is not even out yet. I read an arc of this book from Libro.fm. It is out July 25th, so I'll let you get your pens and pencils in gear so you can write that down to put on your TBR, because this is a 5-star book, everybody. Before we get started, I just wanted to say, in case you're new, my name is Margaret Burchard. This is my YouTube channel. You're on Booktube, and it can be a crazy place where, I don't know, you get dressed up and it's not the right silhouette, but that's as close as I was going to get. So you're welcome. I've got a Regency poll on in the YouTube channel, so if anyone is there, feel free to weigh in. But yes, I love dressing up in historical costume because I am a historical fiction and fantasy writer, and I love imagining and making believe and thinking about how other people lived. So this is why I have stuff like this lying around. And of course the wrong under things, but that's fine. That's beside the point. We can't spend money on everything we want to. So, I have a list I want to get through. The first thing is to say, yes, for all the people who may be new, this stream is sponsored by my books. So if you're interested in historical fiction, especially with a little bit of supernatural thrown in, you can visit my shop on Books to Read. That's shop_Margaret. I've got 6 books out. I'm working on the next one. Actually, I'm working on like 5 at once, as one does, but would love to see people read my books and review them and get the word out to the rest of the world. I've got to give credit to the people who started the Jane Austen July idea. So basically that is Katie and Marissa and Claudia, who are hosting. I think there's a couple names that have changed over the years, but those are the hosts this year of Jane Austen July. They've got a pretty easy, flexible list of prompts to participate, but really the only way you need to participate is reading one Jane Austen related book. So I'm pretty sure I can get to that by the end of July, especially because they count retellings. So there's loads and loads of those. So Jane Austen is an author I love, but can we find her in the book that I read for this week's wrap-up? I'm not sure. So Mrs. Plansky's Revenge, I'll pop it up here on the screen. Let's see. I'm going to also say thank you to Libro.fm and Petrea Burchard, who is the narrator. She's amazing. I've connected with her over social media, so very fun. Before I launch into the review, let me just say hello to the people in the chat who came by. RC Scott, SD Houston, you guys are so lovely. AF Stewart, hello Anita. Bookskers and Purrs, hey Leslie, thank you, love the look. Jackie Reads and Writes, fellow mystery writer over there, hello. Looking cute in that Regency core outfit today. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely need Regency stays, but you can't just walk down the street and find that in a shop these days. Funny thing. Okay, so thank you to Jane Austen July. Thank you to the people who have come to watch and people later on the rewatch as well. I love this book. My review for this is 3 words: quirky, heartfelt, a delight. So here's my pitch, right? Here's my synopsis. Basically, you get to know from the blurb on the back that Mrs. Plansky's Revenge is about an older woman who gets scammed on the phone by someone in Eastern Europe, and unlike most people, does not take it lying down. So this is what you set out with, and you're wondering how she's going to make the connections to get some sort of revenge on someone who can digitally erase their tracks and just steal millions of dollars into the ether, right? There was a point when I was reading this where I was worried because they were making the scammer feel very sympathetic in his life situation. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to end up sympathizing with this person. And, he does go further down that path where you're not sympathizing with him. But in the end, it all came together. So I want to say to people, without spoiling anything, we are in Mrs. Plansky's point of view, her POV, and that is a delight. We are in Dinu's POV, who's the scammer in Eastern Europe, and that is also fun. There were some key moments that I really loved. This is coming, the moment when she realizes she's been scammed, but it takes quite a while before that happens, and perhaps that's why it felt extra emotional. I actually tweeted the author and said I had to put down the book for a moment because it was like my heart was being wrung out because she was finally feeling that, oh God, I've been taken advantage of and all my money is gone. And oh, this is what's coming. She could see what's coming, and it just hurt my heart. So the author did a really good job having us sympathize with Mrs. Plansky. So that inciting incident, when you finally get to it, I don't know if it qualifies as an inciting incident when it's so far into the book and it's coming, but that twist where she realizes was really impactful. And then, so we have all the setup, all the tone, all the backstory. And then as soon as that happens and she sort of clicks into motion about what she's going to do, there's sort of a delayed reaction for that. Whew, then we get into the adventure. So that is really, really fun. It goes from women's fiction and sort of considering her life as a widow and, her previous years with her husband and how she's gotten to where she is. It sort of shifts into spy novel unrealism, but fun. So I would say it's a successful mashup of women's fiction with interiority and emotional payoff, and spy fiction with the comical edge, but some action in there as well. So if that doesn't entice, I don't know what to say to you. What else? There's a very certain type of heroine, right? So I wouldn't say she's a very Austen-esque heroine. She is conservative and depends on her routine and is very polite and does things just so. I loved watching her pack to go on a trip. That was hilarious. But the ways she grows are not coming of age. They're sort of reconnecting with a part of her where you see pieces of her in the past and then she reconnects with those to find her solution at the end, which I thought was delightful. So she likes to be polite, and yet she's got this thing. This is one of my favorite details. She's got this thing called the silo. And the silo is where she keeps all those mordant remarks that she could really heavy artillery, get out the Cold War missiles, aim at somebody and lambaste them, but she doesn't, because she's a woman of a certain age and she doesn't punch down, and that just isn't how it's done. But there is a silo, and I like being aware of that fact. That just tickled me. She also at one point talks about herself and visualizes herself as being in undercover ops, and it is fairly ridiculous that all the things would happen as they line up for her. But I just love seeing someone melt into a new personality when they're confronted with a different situation and they realize that they have this strength that they didn't know about. And so that was really good in terms of payoff. And let's see. There are a few things that this book made me muse about and sort of ponder. So I will dive into those next. But before I do that and finish this review, I just wanted to say we do have a few upcoming events I wanted to point out. Actually, one. So I've got a lovely panel coming up. I'm going to be a guest on AF Stewart's channel. She's hosting History in Writing, how to put history in your writing, with a few lovely guests. And I'm honored to be on the panel. That is going to be this Sunday, 1 p.m. for me, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so I've just popped the link in there. If you want to be notified, go ahead and sign up for that. Historical fiction and fantasy. So Olivia Atwater and Christy Stratos are the other guests. There's horror, there's fantasy, there's like magical realism almost. I'm very excited to talk to them about the world building that is inherent in historical fiction and fantasy. So Anita, thank you for bringing us together. It's a lovely idea, and I'm very excited for Sunday. So that will be after I do my regular live stream, which is a triple tag. So look forward to that. All right. Oh, we had Jim come in to say hello. Yes, it's past midnight and he's got to get his shut-eye, his beauty sleep. But thank you for saying hello. Okay, so the musings for Mrs. Plansky's Revenge. The first one was she mentions several times things even out in the end for small things. And then she realizes, well, she doesn't realize this. The character doesn't realize. I guess after it's said a couple times, you sort of go, oh, maybe this is the motif we're supposed to be thinking about while reading this book. So it was subtle, ish, but yeah, things even out in the end. That reminds me of a quote, which I have on my Pinterest board, which is, it's like, in the spirit of the plot twist, just declare a plot twist. If it doesn't have a happy ending, it's not yet the end, something like that, basically. So like, have hope for the future. And evening out in the end. If something terrible happens to you, like all your money is stolen out of your bank account by a digital thief, then it's helpful, if you want to retain the courage to right that wrong, to believe that there's hope that you can like find those people and bring them to justice. Again, that's the part where the novel sort of branches out into comic and spy fiction, but it is something to keep in mind for real life if you need something to hold on to, I think. There's another point where she talks about, this is her interior monologue. And what's funny is that she has several of these where she's not sure if she's thinking about it inside her head or saying it out loud. And that leads to some funny results as well. But there's one where she talks about travel and distortion, and that when you travel, you have a distorted view of the people that you meet until you get to know that they're just like you. And then maybe you're distorted until you get home. So anyway, she has this whole like, how is this working out mathematically with the distortion and the change and the reality? And I just thought that was entertaining to have her go through. And then the final piece is about these interior monologues themselves. So like, I don't think it's aphasia. That's when you can't visualize things, but there's a thing that's been talked about in the past couple of years, that there is a difference between people who have a running monologue in their head and like have a voice that's sort of judging things or monitoring things and audible in their head most of the day till they sleep. And I'm one of those people. But there's people who don't have that, and it's just like quiet unless you're saying something out loud. And that is so strange to realize. It's one of those things that it's so interior that it's hard to know that other people have different experiences unless you say something that seems really obvious out loud and find that someone else has a different experience. So I was wondering, if people do not have this interior monologue sort of setting in their head, like what happens with Alzheimer's? Because several times in this book, Mrs. Plansky is assuring people that she does not have problems with memory. I mean, she worries about it, but she sort of quizzes herself and is pretty sure that, she can remember things. It just takes her a minute, right? And so I'm wondering, we're getting treated to the POV of someone who has that monologue, and it's very entertaining. But if someone doesn't, like, how does Alzheimer's happen? How do they remember or not remember something? I guess you just have to say it out loud. But anyway, so different experiences, and it sort of got me musing about brain function, and there's probably books about it, but I haven't read them yet. So this is just an interesting taking off point. All in all, I would say the book has very well-drawn characters. You get a real sense for how they would act and what they would say in certain situations. The plot, as I said, is sort of a mashup of women's fiction and sort of comedy spy novel, which is great and entertaining. There is a happy ever after for anyone who's wondering, and it's just really funny. It's funny in the way of, like, ooh, Rick Moranis' name just came to mind, and I don't know if I want to lob that at you. That may put you on the wrong scent. But, like, just musing about things and, like, laughing at where your brain takes you. So the comps for this are immediately, I haven't even read them, but they're a new sort of subgenre that has come up. An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helen Thurston, and Killers of a Certain Age by one of my favorites, Deanna Rayburn. So, like, it's a thing that's happening where you're using elderly characters as protagonists, and they get their guy in the end, right? And justice is served. So I like this, and those books are already on my list to read, but I got this first from Libro.fm, which we love, and I'm very glad I did because it was very entertaining to listen to on walks. I was definitely laughing on the sidewalk as I was walking around Portland. Oh, okay. So let me check back in with the chat. As Shannon says, I have an interior monologue that doesn't shut up. I know. I can't imagine it just going silent. That seems worrying to me. But I understand that is like the default setting for some people. I think it's a small percentage, but yeah, fascinating brain stuff, right? Emma Bennett is here, and I just saw her Perks of Being a Regency author vlog. So I was very excited to get my corset going, even though it's the wrong silhouette, as customers would tell me. But yes, this is like a Regency core, I would say, not really truly Regency. And the hardest thing for me is the hair, so it's kind of a mess, but it's giving the right vibe, right? So that's as best as I can do. And Eva is here. Hello. It is a dress. So I showed people earlier, I've got like petticoats and stuff. So I tried to make it the real deal as close as I could. But like I said, I want to sell books so I can buy a pair of Regency stays and be the real deal. Yes, I'm supporting the Regency theme. We love the Jane Austen July, and I will be reading something for Jane Austen July before the end of the month, just not this week. Oh, yes, we have a poll. Let's go back and visit the poll. Thank you. The poll. So we've got 7 votes, and ooh, I see a winner. The winner is The Men. And in case this doesn't like ring a bell in your audio memory, this is actually what the line is, the quote from Austenland, one of my favorite movies. The hero and heroine are reminiscing about how kooky it is for them to be in a reenactment Regency playland. But the redeeming features are the clothes, the manners, the men, and then I had to put fictional because I'm sure the Regency men would all be a bee in our bonnet if we actually had to meet them. So yes, fictional men. And I'm sure Emma's hero will be exactly of the right variety when the book comes out. Oh, Shannon says all this Regency stuff makes me want to write something Regency. Yes, I voted. Oh, I've stopped. That's not what I wanted to highlight. I voted for the men. Oh boy. And I'm glad you're feeling better, Emma. Oh, not vomiting is always a plus. Yes. Well, yes, Leslie says I will never tire of Austin land. I know. I wanted to put it in my Twitter bio as like the land that I live in aside from Portland, but there was only room for 2, and like Oregon and California are my 2. But I was like, I want to say Austin land because, you know, I'm always there in my head. I can't wait. I can't wait. I hope you have a street team so that I can like proselytize this book because that would be lovely. Okay, well, I only have the one book, so this is why it's a standalone book review today. We got extra special attention to Mrs. Plansky's Revenge by Spencer Quinn, and the audiobook is narrated by Petrea Burchard, and she did a fantastic job. I'm a new fan, so now I'm following her, and she's an author of her own, in her own right, I should say. So yeah, I'm just leading to more and more good books, which is sort of the point. So other than that, I have to remind you about the panel on Anita's channel Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I think that's it. I've got a link to pre-order Mrs. Plansky's Revenge if I have convinced you that it's a 5-star read and would be a perfect summer read or summer listen. So that's an affiliate link. But otherwise, I am going to go back to building my, I don't know, historical fiction and fantasy empire. There we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. I've got lots of fun stuff coming up in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. Happy reading. Take care of yourself. Bye.